Hey everyone, David C. Anderson here coming at you from the Knife Center, and welcome to Knife AQ number 58, the knife series where I answer all of your questions, whether they're sharp or dull. This week, amongst other things, we're talking about best groomsmen's knives, best steel for the money, and we're going to push through to some slightly more unusual suggestions as well. Let's check them out. All right, so if you're new to this channel or this series, what we like to do with this series is take some of our favorite questions from our comments section and put the feature on them. Answer the questions in video format. So if you want a chance to have one of your questions answered, same thing. Just leave them down there in the comments. First question this week comes from L4MP. Hey DCA, I'm getting married. Congratulations. And looking to gift a knife to my groomsmen. None of them are knife guys at the moment, so what would be a good knife to introduce them to? I was thinking of going classic Rat 1, what would appreciate your suggestions. Also, I'd need to buy 4 of them, so something less than $100 would be preferable. Thanks. Cool. Excellent question. One I had a lot of fun with when I got married too. I actually made some custom knives for them, but I'm a special case.
Are you ever?
Oh man. The Rat 1 is a great knife. I would not think of it as a groomsman gift really though. Reason being, excellent though it is, durable and useful though it is, it's not exactly nice feeling. This is a wedding, it's got special import. You kind of want something, or at least I did anyway, the gift I gave my groomsmen, I wanted it to feel a little bit special. And the Rat 1 just doesn't quite fit that for me. It's more of a bruiser, a hard worker, a reliable knife. It's just a knife. So my first inclination would be something like the Kershaw Leek. Even the base models at about $50 nowadays feel a little bit special, and there are even more special versions than this for a little bit more money. And I don't think any of them are above $100 right now. Maybe the copper-handled one, I don't remember. But I alluded to some, pushing through to some slightly more unusual picks. What I meant by that is, for this video, I'm going to try and go past my initial reaction to a lot of these questions. I find myself sometimes, a lot of my answers start to feel, in my head anyway, like I'm going to the same wells, going to the same places, so we're going to do something a little bit more. But Leek, certainly a great option. I won't spend any more time on it though, because we're going to look at something more. 2 here that I came up with from the 4-letter C companies. First which is CRKT with their Crossbones flipper. Normally, personally, I would probably go for something a little bit smaller, but since you mentioned the Rat 1, that larger blade is obviously something you're already thinking about, so I won't go super diminutive on the suggestions. About $74 on these guys, and has a special feel to it. Aluminum handles, you've got milled sections, it's then been anodized, and then they come back in and give a brushed finish to the raised X there, giving it the kind of crossbone name. You see that on both sides. There's a couple colors. This is the bronze one. There's an all blacked out one too, but that doesn't feel very groomsman gifty to me. 3.5-inch blade. We've got Aus 8 stainless here. Important to go, I think, with something like a stainless. D2, of course, is available on the Rat 1, and a ton of very high quality knives under the $100 price point. But you mentioned your fellas aren't knife guys, so I'd stay away from something like D2, which can be a little bit harder to sharpen. If you want to get them into the genre, so to speak, you want to make the barrier to entry as easy as possible. So easier to sharpen stuff like this Aus 8 is going to be a good thing. Great profile for daily use, honestly. Good slicer, good package opener, letter opener, all that sort of thing. Fun to play with. You've got IKBS bearings in the pivot, nice flipping action. You got stuff like a inset liner lock, a little bit of a slightly more premium feeling touch. Classy looking pocket clip with just a little bit of handle sticking out. Really cool gentleman's or executive knife option that would be really good. So the other 4-letter C company, of course, would be CJRB, along with CRKT. The Scoria model is a really nice new release of theirs. It's a capable shape. You've got a 3.5-inch drop point blade. And it's still, despite the size and the capability, it carries nice and thin because these handles, they kept them nice and slim, but still gave it some contouring. Feels really good for a not too bulky knife. And I'm really taken right now for more of a special occasion gift or special occasion carry piece with this KnifeCenter exclusive version that comes with the pack of wood handles. They look really, really good. Very premium too, along with the gold touches around the pivot collar, the thumb studs, and a pretty big milled titanium pocket clip here on the back. Again, classing things up quite nicely. Blade steel here is RPM 9. It's a powder metallurgy stainless. A really good bargain for the money. You're getting good performance there. Not as hard to sharpen as something like D2. You've got also an inset liner lock, and you've got the flipper tab as well as thumb stud. So you can flick it open with your thumb or flip it open with the tab just as easily thanks to the ball bearings and the pivot there. Just a super solid, capable knife that feels special. It's a little bit elevated. Check those guys out. Hope that helps, and congrats again on getting married, man. That is awesome. All right, next question comes from Kevin Stryker. Hey DCA, I'm planning a beachside long weekend vacation with my family. I always have a knife on me, but I don't want to ruin an expensive blade with salt and grit. I'm looking for a full-size knife, 3 to 4 inches on the blade length that is corrosion resistant, as well as affordable, $50 or less. Thanks for all the videos. You're welcome. So for something like this, my first inclination might be something like the Rat 1 in AUS 8, not in D2 blade steel. But we're going beyond that. You do have some things I like here. You've got no ball bearings in this pivot. The washers here are definitely going to stand up better to the sandy environment. But D2, of course, is not a stainless steel. Even AUS 8 is not the most stainless steel out there. So thinking past my gut reaction, I'm going to go with this. The Cold Steel Range Boss comes in about $45 right now. Blade, we'll go right to the top end of that 3 to 4 inch range. Let's get a big, capable 4-inch blade. You'll be able to use this for just about any utility thing you might need. And depending on where you're staying, you might need to do a little bit of food prep. This long blade with the full flat grind might come in handy, especially, most Airbnbs, if you're staying at one of those places, have pretty crappy kitchen knives. Now the steel here is a 4034 stainless, which is roughly in the 420C or 420HC class. It's not an identical steel, but somewhere in that kind of ballpark. You're going to get good stain resistance there, aided of course by the stone washed finish. Handles are nice and slim. This is actually a fairly lightweight knife for its size. We're coming in about 3.5 ounces, not too bad. So if you're walking along the beach, if you're in your swim trunks, that sort of thing, it's going to be slim, not too bulky and not too heavy, so it's not going to weigh you down. We've also got washers in the pivot here, no ball bearings to worry about, and you've got Cold Steel's Triad lock. Very strong and a bit easier to keep free of dust and debris than a traditional lockback is. You can see when you close it there, you've got a gap between the blade and the lock bar itself. It's because there's a stop pin in there. It's a little more open and less susceptible to a little bit of grit, wedging open the lock bar on a typical lockback. So a little easier to keep clean in that type of scenario, which is great. Folds up really nice, opens really easily, definitely built to withstand a pretty good amount of hard use as well, even though this is a nice and affordable knife. All right, next question comes from James, who says, what small pocket knife would you recommend for a non-knife person, my sister, for everyday use? Price isn't an issue, but a handle that is easy to use for small hands with slender fingers and slim enough to carry easily in women's jeans. Relatively easy to open and close due to occasional joint inflammation. She's a zookeeper, so the primary use would be package opening, etc. The zookeeper details kind of not germane to package opening uses. That could be pretty much anyone's probably using their knives for package opening most of the time.
I'm a little concerned about what's in the packages.
Don't be. That's fine. We don't need to go there. Bonus points for pink or bright green scales, as those are her favorite colors. Cool. Yeah, I mean, definitely. The more I've seriously considered the question, the size of pockets in women's clothing is the limiting factor on a lot of knife choices. So, a lot of women's knife, quote unquote, women's knife choices tend to be smaller for that reason, not because they don't need a bigger knife or don't want a bigger knife. It's just what it is. But for a smaller knife, high quality with pink handle scales, Spyderco Dragonfly is, as soon as I read this question, it's like, bing, that's the guy. So we're not going to talk about this knife, excellent though it is. Instead, we're going to talk about a knife actually designed by a woman, designed to work well with women's clothing. This is the Swags Mylea from CJRB. Very affordable too, comes in about $38. And there's no bright pink option, but there is a Jade G10 option here, which has a bit of a green hue. And you don't have to have the black blade. If the black is a little too aggressive, you can get a standard, I believe it's a stone-washed blade. It's either stone-washed or satin for the same price. Even if you don't have smaller hands or smaller pockets, it's a really nice little utility knife. Kind of a 3-finger grip for me, but thanks to the generous swell here, it's very easy to hold on to. Blade steel here again, I believe, is that RPM 9. Really good stuff. Blade length, 2.4 inches. Liner lock to keep it open. And to open it once it is closed, you have a front flipper or thumb studs combined with the ball bearings in the pivot here. Pops open really nicely. Carries really nicely thanks to that deep carry pocket clip, which is reversible. Just a really good all-around utility option, no matter who you are. All right, next question comes from Verpine. Hi DCA, enjoy your content, including the outtakes. Cool, not everyone does, so I appreciate that. I'm looking for a solid EDC knife that is also an excellent knife for kitchen use. I'm aware of the Spyderco SpydieChef, but I was wondering if there are other options that are equally or more suitable. Thanks. Cool. We actually just did a video a couple weeks ago on food prep folders and fixed blades for EDC. I encourage you to go check those guys out, but as I mentioned in that video, if you've seen it already, there was a lot more stuff I wanted to include, but had to be cut for time, so to speak. So since we're talking about some of the second choices, which doesn't necessarily mean worse choices than the first choice, but some of the things that are beyond the first choice, that video is full of the first choices. So I've got some of the second choices from that video here, which is great because I love to talk about them. The first folder I really wanted to include, but wound up cutting, was the Spyderco Police 4. Reason I cut it is the SpydieChef does such a good job from Spyderco, so the brand was already represented. I had a fixed blade from them also in the video, so I didn't want to load it up too much with Spyderco's. But this is a great knife. The Police 4 lightweight, especially in VG10 stainless, 122.50 right now. 4.4-inch blade, VG10 like I mentioned, and like a lot of Spyderco's, you've got a full flat grind. A lot of Spyderco's, whether the blade or the knife itself is designed for kitchen use, they have blade profiles that are very kitchen-y these days. Really nice. You got some sweep to the belly, really good for slicing, longer cuts, and as I alluded to in that food prep video, if you hang your hand off the edge of the cutting board or countertop with this knife, you can actually do some rock chopping with it, mincing herbs and garlic, that sort of thing. Really great here. The VG10 would be the choice for me right now in what's available because of the stainless qualities. The FRN handles with the bidirectional texturing, very easy to hold on to. Washers in the pivot here, so easier to keep clean than ball bearings. Nice liner lock. A lot of capability for a daily carry for sure. 4-position pocket clip. You can carry it pretty much however you like. I also really like the Revo Ness for a little bit of food prep. Nessmuck inspired blade shape here, 66.50 right now. D2 blade, 3.6 inches long, and ball bearings in the pivot. So right there, you can kind of get a clue as to why it didn't make the first string of suggestions. D2, of course, not stainless. We've talked about this. And ball bearings a little harder to keep clean than washers. But still a really nice shape for your food prep as well as EDC. You've got not so much knuckle clearance from this handle shape, but you've got a good sweeping profile for slices, and then hang your hand off the side. You can do those rock chops really nicely. Carries really well with this nice deep carry pocket clip. Flips really great too. This one's actually mine right here. I've EDC'd this. I enjoy it very much. The last folder I'm going to show you is a bit of a dark horse. A little bit definitely outside the norm for this sort of thing, and that's the Bonafide from CRKT. The 4116 stainless version, not the D2 version, again, for corrosion resistance. About $100 for this. And it doesn't have as obviously a kitchen-y blade profile to it, although with the full flat grind and 3.5-inch length, decent as a small utility or paring style of kitchen knife. But importantly, we're talking about cleanliness. This features the Gen 2 field strip mechanism, which allows you to take the knife apart, which is going to make it very easy to keep clean. Pop the switch over and it's going to come apart into 3 pieces super easily. Even though you've got ball bearings in the pivot here, you're going to be able to rinse them out pretty easily, dry them off, and not have to worry too much about gunk and that sort of thing. Then when you go to put the knife back together, it's exactly just the reverse of the process. Lock the switch back into the locked position and you're ready to go. The blade comes out just about perfectly centered every single time, flips really nicely, no adjustment needed, just put it back together and away you go. So you said EDC knife, but you didn't say folding knife. So I do actually have a fixed blade option here, a little bit larger. Another Spyderco. Again, you can see why I didn't want to overload that other video with Spydercos. This is the Street Bowie from Fred Perrin. Comes in about 115 bucks, and obviously a very tactically inspired design. You've got a 5.5-inch blade, VG10 here again, but you've got the black coating. Works really well for self-defense capabilities, and you've got a big EDC blade to work with. Plenty of length, plenty of bigger chores you could take on with this, including a little bit of food prep. A little bit thicker on the blade stock, but you do have a full flat grind. You're going to be able to slice on a cutting board really nicely. You do have a hint of upward angle to the handle there that you can see, which is going to help out that clearance issue just a little bit. Not so much a rock chopper, this particular design, not with all that straight edge at the heel of the blade, but it's still going to do a good job for anything shy of that, I would say. And yes, I do think this is an EDC option with the sheath they provide. It's hard plastic, it clicks in, and you've got their J clip on the back, which works really nicely whether you're carrying it, using it as a belt loop, or they work really well carried inside the waistband as well. So, if you're looking for discretion, great option there. Great EDC option there that could get your food prep done when you need it to. All right, now we come to the lightning round for today. First question is from Chris Reuther. Says, how about your definition of a custom knife? Does the use of a custom knife applied to scales on a production knife undercut actual production knives? So a custom knife is, a handmade, custom, usually one-off, but can follow a particular pattern that the maker already has. Scales on a production knife is a customized knife, which is great. It's just not a custom knife. And the great thing is you can do it for not a lot of money right now. This is my personal carry bug out, which I am in love with right now. Again, thanks to these Flytanium Crossfade G10 scales, like 45 bucks. Very affordable. I don't have the cool Battlewash finish that these KnifeCenter exclusives used to have, but it's got a very different feel, more robust feel, and I love the shape going on here. And that's the thing, you can do these for really inexpensively these days. Like I said, for 45 bucks for those, about 55 bucks for these Berkshire Forged titanium scales, which really cool, just not a custom knife. Next question is from Timothy Patterson. Hey there, DCA, quick question. Will the KnifeCenter be doing any more Benchmades in the Battlewash finish? I keep waiting and hoping. Unfortunately, no. We would love to, but Benchmade actually discontinued the finish. They were having some problems with the consistency and the price point that they wanted to hit with them. So unfortunately, no, but if you have one of these, you're definitely one of the lucky guys, and it's definitely going to be something really cool in the future. Check out our exclusive Hogue Deca in G-Mascus, the red G-Mascus pattern. I don't have one here in front of me, so we'll either cut in some B-roll video or a photo. We kind of had that made when we found out we weren't going to be able to have the Battlewash finish made anymore. Bit of a consolation prize, so check it out. Next question is from FPV Beast. What is your pick if you're trying to find a budget, as in below $100 knife, that feels more expensive in the hand? So really concentrate on the feeling more expensive. It's not necessarily about the best steel for the buck here, but that premium feel. And my gut reaction there is always the Kershaw bare knuckle these days. Really fantastic, but we're not doing first choices right now, remember? But second choice, which doesn't even deserve the term because it is excellent, the Boker Plus Quake and Air from Lucas Burnley. It's about 90 bucks. A lot of premium touches and feelings and finishes on this that betray its price point. Titanium scales, titanium liners as well, not stainless steel, all stone washed. The blade is VG10, 3.5 inches. And one of the nice things you see here is a horizontal grain finish, a very fine horizontal grain finish, which is something that costs money to do and you typically only see on higher end production pieces or custom knives. So for that reason, this really does feel like a way more than $90 knife. And I may in fact be changing my default answer from the Kershaw to this because it's a very cool knife and very deserving of that type of look, very much so. Next question, last from the lightning round, is Eric Judd saying, what would you say is the best steel for the money? D2, quite honestly, these days. Used to be found on more expensive knives, but ever since you've been able to get them on sub $50 knives, this Rat 1 is a $40 blade with plenty of reach here. I don't know if you can get more edge retention per dollar than with D2. Although, second choice would be the S30 family, S30V and S35VN. You're getting a lot of it nowadays under the $100 mark, sometimes a decent bit under. Even this guy right here, this exclusive Swordfish, almost a 4-inch S35VN blade, 4 inches of it for 90 bucks. Pretty good thing there too. So best bang for your buck steel-wise these days, D2 and the S30 range, I'd say that. Last question, our most serious question of the day, comes from Ryan Cole. Says, my dad always said it's a knife eat knife world. If he were correct, what two Joe Flowers knives are those two knives? Did your dad really say that? I'm not entirely convinced. But I'm not going to speak ill of your dad. The answer is probably the Condor Loch Ness Muck and the Condor Rodan, named after mythical beasts. At least they could be like eating each other. But both of those are discontinued, so I don't have them here in front of me. But that's the answer. That is all the time I've got for your questions today, folks. Thank you so much, everyone, for submitting your questions in the comments section below. If you want a chance to get featured on a future episode, that's exactly what you got to do. Just drop them down there in the comments. If you want to get your hands on any of these knives, we'll leave links in the description to take you over to KnifeCenter.com. And make sure you sign up for our Knife Rewards program so that when you put your money down on one of these knives today, you'll earn some free money to spend on your next one. I'm David C. Anderson from the Knife Center, signing off. See you next time.